This is a great honor for every fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm honored to be in the NFL.
What can I say? Mamba out.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the afternoon show presented by ESEN. I'm Chris Gonzalez, joined by Tony Gonzalez, excuse me, and Jay McLovin. How's it going, guys?
Going good.
Baseball is good. Basketball for me personally with the Rockets, and we'll get more into this in a minute. It's not so good. So I'm on the fence, Gonzo. I'm kind of having like an off day, weird day. Yeah.
It's been wasn't a great weekend for multiple things, but ain't been a bad day today.
No, it ain't been bad. Hey, had a big NBA game happen last night. The NBA Finals. We crowned a new champion. NBA champions. The Oklahoma Thunder defeated the Indiana Pacers 103-91. Big story in this game, of course, Halliburton getting hurt, going to be out, looks like 10 to 12 months. Happened with about close to 5 minutes left in the first quarter. He got off to a good start, and he's going to be gone for a while. So it's going to change the Pacers' outlook. We'll talk about that later. Oklahoma Thunder really didn't play great the first half. Didn't play terrible, didn't play great, but that third quarter they turned up the defense. That was the key. Turnovers, 21 turnovers for the Pacers in the game, I think, and that was the key of the game in the third quarter. Just great defense by Oklahoma Thunder. Got to give them credit. They got the MVP. They got the league MVP. They got the Finals MVP. And congratulations to the Oklahoma Thunder. Great win for them. Jay, what's your take?
Yeah, for SGA, that really was a big thing. That was a big thing to get league MVP, Finals MVP. Very, like all the greats, Kobe's, the Jordans. You pick them. All the big, great superstars out there that have played this game have done those things, right? They get the league, they get the finals, the whole thing, right? That's just a good marking in terms of where you are in the basketball world. And I think SGA, as young as he is, has an incredible future ahead of him if he continues to keep playing the way he's playing. It was phenomenal, man. It was a good series. Unfortunately for Halliburton, he obviously took a step back with that torn Achilles, and I really feel bad for him because nobody likes to see that. I don't care what team you are. Nobody likes to see that. And what's interesting to me, though, about you guys' team, though, and I was talking about this earlier, I feel like somebody needs to look at y'all's strength and conditioning program because this is the third torn Achilles on your team. And I forget who the first was. I can't remember his name, but I know the second one was Wiseman and then Halliburton. And there was a third one in there, and I cannot remember that guy's name to save my life. But I know you had 3 torn Achilles this season, and we've also had 3 torn Achilles in this playoffs. When you look at Lillard, Tatum, and now Halliburton. So I'm really wondering, what is the issue? Is the issue that the trainers aren't conditioning these athletes or warming them up properly before the games, or is it on the players not doing their part with their own body in terms of conditioning? How do y'all see that? They left the show. They said, hell with it. I'm gone.
Yeah, Chris had to step out for a second. But
no, that's fine.
Jay Wiseman joined the Pacers late. He was late signing. So, he came to the team and was there for about 2 weeks and then got hurt. So he was late signing, so he wasn't with the team. So I don't know about I don't remember who the other player you were talking about with the injury.
I think it's right here. I believe it was Isaiah Jackson. I think
Isaiah Jackson, young player. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I know they was in good shape. They could run up and down the court. I don't know. Halliburton, I'm sure that his previous injury may help cause this one. I don't know. I don't know much about that kind of stuff, so I'm going to be honest with you. So that probably didn't help. It's going to be interesting. It sucks. It would have been really interesting to see how that game would have went if Halliburton didn't get hurt. He was playing well. He was off to a great start. Not saying we would have won the game. I'm not saying who knows. I think it would have been a close game. I think it would have been interesting to see what would happen. But hey, you can't cry over spilled milk. I mean, Pacers had a great season, had a good season. Fell short. That's the way you got to look at it.
Well, I mean, you guys, it was really that third quarter that got you guys, because when you look at it, the Thunder up by 3 points, 22-25 in the first, and then you guys came back in the second quarter at 26-22. So it's almost like you guys were definitely neck and neck. And then Halliburton went down, I believe it was the third.
First quarter. First quarter. Halliburton went out.
I apologize. So even when you look at, you're right, it was the first quarter. I apologize. But when you look at it, you lost the second quarter after he's down only by 4. You won it. You won by 4. So even without Halliburton, you were still up by 4 points. You went into the third quarter, and that's where the wheels kind of came off. They got you 14-20, and then you came back in the fourth quarter and you finished 23-22. So really, the only quarter that really hurt you was that third quarter. I mean, you were hanging with them. Yeah. Even without having Halliburton there, your team was still hanging with them.
I'll tell you a big key for Halliburton, and I know people may not recognize this. I mean, I know he's kind of the face of the team, but he is such a leader, because even when he don't have the ball in his hand, I don't know if you've watched this, Jay. When he don't have the ball in his hand, he's telling the players, he's pointing out to the play. He's definitely the leader, the general of that team. And you could tell they were kind of scrambled a little bit. And, hey, not making excuses, but they were a little bit scrambled there in the third quarter. Come back. Of course, the guy in the third quarter, McConnell, kept him in the game a little bit in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, the guy that played real well was Mathern. Mathern, just kept going to the basket and getting fouled. But I mean, hey, can't take anything away from OKC. I thought Indiana fought hard. I don't think they ever gave up. They fought to the last second. But Oklahoma was too much for them, especially without Halliburton. But again, I mean, those things happen. It happens to every team. I mean, not every team, but you know what I mean. It happens every season to somebody. It just sucks it happened the last game of the year, But it is what it is.
Well, let's go back to that for a second. So, and I made this, and I was talking about this on a previous show, and I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about it. Is, one of the things that leads to an Achilles tear, or what we know about an Achilles tear, is your calf muscle tightens up, which then forces your Achilles to tighten up to the point where sometimes it tears all the way, like it happened, or sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes you just get away with it. And that's the one thing. The signs were there. All the signs were there throughout this, from the beginning of this series all the way to the end of it. You saw him always constantly grabbing that calf muscle because of tightness, all the way up throughout this series in the minutes that he was playing. And I almost feel like, and I understand it's game 7, and I understand that, the argument of, well, Jay, he may never make it there again. This may be your only opportunity, and that's fine. I get that too. So sometimes you roll the dice and you just get what you get. You don't mind a bit. But then sometimes I feel like part of ownership needs to step in, because there's no way you're getting Halliburton not to go out there and play in game 7. He said it quite frequently, very, very clearly. You're going to have to cut off my legs to keep me from getting on that court and playing. And I feel like, metaphorically, or even not literally, that maybe ownership should have tore off his legs and said, no, man, we're not going to risk you, because if you go down this year, I'm going to lose you next year, and then I won't see you back until the year after that.
Yeah.
So I was kind of think, where is the responsibility of ownership to protect the players from themselves? I understand you're at the biggest of the moment. I understand that. But sometimes there's bigger things than being bigger in just that one moment. Yeah. And I think sometimes I think sometimes the pressure that we put on in that moment sometimes can screw up a career, because you never know 100% how you're going to come back from an injury. You don't know that if it gets done, that you're not going to re-tear it, this, that, or the other. And so I wonder, is it really that important to push a player's health beyond knowing that there's a great risk of that type of injury?
I think it's a tough situation, Jay. If a player wants to play, and they said he knew the risk. I don't think the team pushed him to play. I really don't. I don't think they, I think they left it up to him. Like you said, maybe they should have stepped in. You just don't see that. If a player wants to play, they're going to let him play. I mean, they're making millions of dollars. I mean, it is what it is. Like you said, there was no, if he could have been out there with crutches, he'd have been out there with crutches. That's the type of guy he is.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And we know that that's the type of guy that he is. I just think sometimes we push him so hard to get that W that we don't. It's like health be damned. The rest of your career be damned. Just do this game.
One thing I did want to mention while I'm thinking of it, I was really impressed with Alexander coming over, and I don't think they showed that originally on camera, but they've showed it since then. Him came over and checking on him. I thought that was pretty cool. I think
really is. I think it really speaks for the kind of person that SGA is in terms of his character and things like that. He really is a good guy. And I think Halliburton would, I really do believe that if that was situation was reversed, if it was SGA that had that, I think that Halliburton probably would have done something similar. I just think those kind of guys have that level of respect for each other.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was a hell of a series, man. People can't complain. It was a great series. It sucks that it had to end up like that. I mean, I would have loved to see that game go down to the last second shot by somebody, maybe, even if Oklahoma would have won. But hey, it was a good series.
Before you wrap this up, though, let me ask you one other thing. So now let's look at the reality and let's look at the future. So now the reality is you lost a guy for 12 months, and I think if they do their due diligence, they really want to bring him back in that 12 months because you really want a good time of heal and rehab because we don't want to have that same injury again. So I hope they don't rush it. I hope they let the full process play out of healing so that way he can go on to enjoy the rest of his career. But now you got to imagine, okay, so this year was done. Now you're looking at next year. I'll wait till he comes back. That way he hears. Okay, so now you're looking at this year being done. You didn't get the ultimate prize. You're not going to have Halliburton probably for 26. Most likely, we're going to get Halliburton back. I would have to imagine in 27. Yes, maybe they can push it and he makes the playoffs. But like I was telling earlier, do you really want to push it and then have him re-injure? I think you got to let him medically do it what it needs to be done. But what if? So then you're off at 26. Then he comes back in 27. I mean that. What do you do in the meantime while Halliburton isn't with you guys? Do you try to get maybe like a medical exemption and try to go find somebody that can maybe get in there, or what do you do to try to be competitive next year?
Let's go ahead and answer this, Chris, and then we can go back and get your thoughts on the series. I've been struggling with this because I don't know what they do. Does this change things? And I want to ask Chris and you this too. Does it change things with Miles Turner? I mean, could they say, okay, do we still want to pay Miles Turner? And I'm not against Miles Turner. I'm just saying, hey, maybe we need to go a different direction now since we're going to be without Halliburton for a year. Or, there are some, and if you go after somebody, do you go after a point guard or do you go after a scorer? If you try to bring somebody in. Chris, what do you think? What do the Pacers need to do? Do they just say, hey, we got Mathern, he needs time to play anyway. He's going to be kind of a replacement. I don't have to find another backup point guard for sure, I would think. But what do you think that would be the thing to do? You got guys like Chris Paul out there. Will a guy like Chris Paul be a fit to come in and be your point guard?
I don't think they'll do that. Honestly, I don't think they're going good. I don't think it's going to change too much. It could maybe, like, I could see him maybe decide not to sign Miles and go into the luxury tax now that Halliburton's hurt. But I honestly think they're going to sign Miles. I think they still will be.
If he wants to be there.
If he wants to be there, I think Pacers are going to keep him there. Pacers they take care of their guys, and he's been there 10 years. I mean, and he's productive. Like he's one of the better centers in the league. Especially usually he didn't shoot the ball great in the finals, but he can. I think what you might see him, they'll probably go after another guard to get maybe on the bench. But I think Mathern will move more into the starting lineup. He started 40-something games this year when Neesmith was hurt. So I think Mathern will probably move more into the lineup. And then they said it last night on the thing. Richard Jefferson did. He goes, one thing the Pacers have is they have two of the best point guards, backup point guards in the league in Nembhard and McConnell. So I think you'll see Nembhard and McConnell basically being our point guards for next year, and they'll probably go out and maybe try to get another guard. But you have Mathurin, plus you got that Walker, who was a rookie that was playing well and played some in the playoffs. I think some of them guys are going to get more of an opportunity, and try to keep it together until Halliburton, until you can get Halliburton back. I don't think they're going to do anything crazy and really blow it up. That's just not the Pacers style, really. Usually,
yeah.
I mean, they could surprise me. I mean, but
I don't think they'll blow it up.
I don't think it'll be nothing crazy. I don't see them going and trying to sign like a real big name free agent. I think it'll be more about developing the players they have, maybe adding a couple pieces on the bench, and then I mean, you still have Siakam, your all-star. I mean, you still have a good team.
Yeah,
you still have a team. I mean, without Halliburton, you still have a team that could make the playoffs. You're not going to make a real deep playoff run like you have the last 2 years. I don't believe without Halliburton, but the team the roster we have, we're capable of still making the playoffs. I don't see us falling off and only winning like 20 games next year. I still think we'll win 40 something games and make the playoffs next year. I mean, we have a good team. I mean, even last night after Halliburton went out, the third quarter, like we turned the ball over in the third quarter. If you look at it, we outscored them in the fourth quarter. We played right with them in the second quarter. It was the third quarter was the difference in the game. I mean, SGA he had quite a bit of points, but he didn't have a good shooting night.
Yeah.
Like
had a great assist night.
We that third quarter we turned the ball over 8,000 times and we couldn't score. Which I mean, it happens.
Yeah. Jay, what do you think? What do you think the Pacers should do?
Well, I was just looking up something, and what's interesting to me enough is if you look at the free agents that are available out there, I think you could make a move. Now, it would be definitely put you in the luxury tax, but you do have some options if you did want to try to stay competitive while you wait for Halliburton to come back. And maybe you have to let some pieces go and bring in whatever to make it work financially if that was the case. But Luka has a player option next year. He could easily opt out of that and become a free agent. And we all know that Luka can handle the rock. He can play the point guard position. I'm not saying he would do that, but I'm saying you got Luka out there, you got Paolo Banchero out there, you got Jaren Jackson Jr. out there, Jalen Williams, Darren Fox. You're not going to go after Chet Holmgren, but he's also out there. If you re-sign Miles Turner, you wouldn't need to go after Chet Holmgren. But then you also have Lonzo Ball, Vucevic, and Kobe White. And then there's a list of other guys out there: Herter, Dalen Terry, Zach Collins, and Jameer Young. I mean, there's a lot of players out there that are still notable to where you could play with some pieces to give you guys a competitive edge if that's something that Indiana wanted to do. Otherwise, I think what's going to happen is if you stay status quo, you don't bring a free agent, you just try to compete with what you have, I think you will still be good enough to make the playoffs, but I don't see NBA Finals aspirations without having a scorer type guy or having Halliburton back. I don't know that you would be good enough to get back to that level.
Let me ask you guys, could Mathurin be that guy? Could Mathurin, I mean, if he's playing all the time now, we know he averaged 14 off the bench, he averaged 14 points a game. If he's playing most of the time now and is more featured guy, could he be a guy that scores 20 points a game, 22 points a game? And it may be a different looking team, maybe a different style team, but it still could be a successful team. It's not going to be a Halliburton team, of course, because Halliburton's not there.
And that right there is why I don't think they're going to make a big move or a big free agent, because this was only Mathurin's third season.
Right.
He's only 22 years old, and I believe he's going to be a starter in the league and be a real good. I think can be a real good player in the league. He has the ability. He just has to get a little more mature and a little more consistent. And I think next year's going to be his opportunity where, especially with the Pacers, this is going to be your opportunity to show that you can mature and going to turn into what they think he's going to turn into, or this could be the make or break year for him with the Pacers, where if he don't, take that step, they can move on. So, I mean, it could be a good thing for the Pacers to get to see like how his development's going to go. But that's why I don't think they'll make a big move, because I think they'll do that. I think they'll try to strengthen the bench up a little more, add some pieces. But the offense is just going to look a little different. I think you're going to see start running through Siakam a lot more, and if Mathurin's on there, it's going to be, you're going to see it's going to look quite. It looks something like OKC with how they use SGA and Williams when they go to the pick and roll off each other. I think you'll start seeing that with Siakam and Mathurin a lot next year, because we're not going to have the. You saw it last night without Haliburton. We don't have the ball movement. Like TJ McConnell's a good player. He comes in, he gives us a spark plug, but he's ball dominant. And if you notice, yeah, he was scoring in that third quarter, but nobody else was getting involved in the game. It's a lot of him dribbling around. It's a totally different style. When we were at our best, when the ball's moving, and Haliburton was Haliburton's the engine of that. Like he kept us at our pace. Where with McConnell, he plays fast, but the ball stops with him. Where when he's not on the court, the ball's moving everywhere.
And that's what I'm saying. So if you feel, and I agree with you, I think McConnell I think he's the guy that comes off the bench, gives you gives your starter a breather, and then you reinsert your starter back in. I think that's just where he does a good job filling in.
Nembhard will move over. Nembhard will be the starting point guard.
Yeah. He
started last year in the playoffs at point guard when Haliburton was out against the Celtics, and he played real good in the Eastern Conference Finals. And he started playing the point guard a lot in this series, and the last two games, and we started keeping Haliburton a little off the ball because of his injury. So I think that's what they'll do is Nembhard will move to the point guard, and he'll start being more of the facilitator. McConnell will still be the backup point guard, and then Mathurin will probably move into the starter shooting guard, and like I said, they'll probably try to bring in somebody for some depth.
And that's what I was saying. If you bring up Mathurin and you put him in the starting lineup, you're probably going to want to put an extra person on your bench, to, like you said, to give you that depth. So then you'd probably be looking at some role players or whatever, some defensive strategists or some 3-point shooters, whatever it is the case may be. And you fill that rock spot with that. But let me ask you this: what if Mathurin is not the guy, and you got a guy like a Darren Fox that's out there that you could pick up as a point guard, who's actually the point guard for San Antonio, but he's on a player option, so he can actually become a free agent if he wanted to. Would it hurt you to go after maybe a Darren Fox and keep Mathurin on the bench?
Yeah, I think it would hurt you. I don't think you need it. If you're going to go after a player, I wouldn't go after a point guard.
Okay.
I'd go after a shooting guard, because Nembhard can play the point guard position for you. Nembhard was naturally a point guard, and they moved him to the shooting guard because of Haliburton.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So
no, I understand what you're saying.
If you're going to bring another guy, if you're going to go after like a bigger free agent, I think that it would be more like a scorer, like a shooting guard or a scorer, because I think Nembhard is going to move over into the starting point guard, and then you have a backup point guard with McConnell. So you really don't, you really don't need to go after another point guard. It'd be more, to me, go after another off guard.
In your point is good. I get it.
And what you need is a guy that can create his own shot. Because we have two guys on our team that are shot creators, and that's Mathurin and Siakam. So if you're going to go get another scorer, you need to get somebody that, especially with Haliburton now that you don't have your facilitator that you used to have, and I think you need to get a guy that's a playmaker that can create his own shot some as well. Because that's one thing you saw last night. We're a great team, but that's one thing we don't have is a lot of guys that can create their own shot. It's basically Siakam and Mathurin are the two shot creators. So if you're going to go after a guy, I think you go after a shooting guard that's a playmaker that can create his own shot if need be.
Yeah, I guess what I was thinking like, what would keep your team close to what it is? Because you guys did make it to the finals with Nembhard in the off guard spot. Yeah. And so what I was wondering is, Darren Fox, he's a great shooter, he's a great distributor, and he would fit. I just think that he would fit into your mold. and you could have basically the same type of makeup as what you had when Halliburton left. I'm not saying that he's a good Halliburton, whatever, but I think that would still keep your team, your chemistry, your functionality would stay the same, and that formula got you to the finals. Now, I'm not saying you bring in Mathurin. That's obviously another route, and it's a very good route as well. Like what you're saying is shot creator, and then you'd have to just fill in the depth role, find somebody that you feel that you need, go there. So yeah.
So I get what you're saying about Fox, but my thing is Fox is more of a score first point guard, and that's the opposite of what Halliburton is.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. If we go out and get another point guard to try to plug in so we can operate like we did this year, I don't think there's no point guard out there. There's not another point guard out there that plays like Halliburton.
Right, and he wouldn't really be able to do it like a Chris Paul because he's old and he can't run that team like.
Yeah, Chris Paul would be the closest because that's what kind of Halliburton's like. He's a pass first guy.
Yeah, but Paul ain't too damn old.
There's not that many of the pass first point guards around anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And that's the only thing. I mean, Fox I think could work. I think, like I said, I just think Fox looks to score more. So I don't know if we'd have the same flow.
Right.
But even with Nembhard at point guard, it's not the same flow, but we've played like that before, so the team would be kind of familiar to it.
Could Paul give you enough minutes?
See, I don't think Paul could give you enough minutes.
Oh no, Paul's not your answer. He does not fit the cardio or the tempo of your team. No, but his mindset fits it.
But no, my thoughts on the game real quick. It was a good game. It sucks that he got hurt, but hey, that's part of basketball. Hats off to the Thunder. They're a good team. Hey, Pacers did prove that they belong. We didn't go in there and get swept like everybody thought we were going to. We were right there, forced them to a game 7. Hell, had to lead at halftime after losing our number one, our best player. We battled. That was what I was proud about. The guys didn't quit. Halliburton, he went down. I mean, that could have been an excuse. That could have been an excuse for the Pacers just to fold, and they, and all they. But that'd been easy for the Pacers just to fold when Halliburton went down, and they didn't. They battled. They were battling all the way to the last 30 seconds of that game, even when they were down 12-13 with 30 seconds left. They were still battling. So I was proud about that. It just sucks because we'll never know what would have happened if Halliburton don't go down.
I don't have a problem not winning the finals. My biggest problem is that we lost Halliburton for next season. That's what I'm upset about.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. But it just sucks, just to think about because Halliburton had that look in his eye last night. He was getting ready to have a game, and he got off to a hot start. Had hit 3 3-pointers. I mean, it'd just been nice to see what would have happened if he wouldn't have got hurt. Hey, injuries happens, so it's not an excuse. Hey, they beat us. They beat us, and that's how it goes.
But here's the thing, though.
I'm not gonna lie. He went down. I mean, my stomach just as soon as he went down, I knew he was out. He ain't back in. You can see it pop.
Yeah, and here's the thing, though. And let me ask you this: we all know injuries happen. Everybody knows injuries. That's part of the game. But is there a certain point where that the signs are blatantly obvious that an Achilles tear is coming your way and it's gonna happen? So, seriously, the first indicator of an Achilles about to pop is calf tightness. That's the first indicator.
Yeah, but Gary, I understand what you're saying, but you have to play that game. You have to play that game.
No, you don't.
And it was his choice.
Hey, coach, I'm not playing this shit. I'll come back next year.
If he would have said that, he would have got buried for being soft. He don't have a heart. He don't care about his teammates. He don't care about winning the championship. I mean, you know how
there's ways you can do that. No, there's ways you can negate that. You just had the team say we're not letting them play. You let the team take the heat.
You have to play. I think you have to play because if you don't play, then and the team goes out there and loses, then the rest of your life you're going to regret it that you didn't give it a shot. Yeah, does it suck that now it's easy to say that he shouldn't have played because he got hurt? But if he'd
Oh
have
no,
made
it
it through that
wasn't
game
easy.
last night, we wouldn't have been-
I knew that man was headed for this. I knew he was headed for. It was classic. You already saw it.
You didn't know it was going to pop in that game.
I'm not saying I knew it was. I'm not saying. Can I say I knew 100%? No, but I had a pretty good feeling, and I've said this
But
several
what I'm
times.
saying is,
I said
played
people have
last game.
shows that he shouldn't have played.
that's easy. It's easy to say that he shouldn't have played now after you saw that he got hurt.
No, I was saying it before.
If it wouldn't have popped, no, wait a minute. No. If it would have popped last night, if it wouldn't have popped last night, and he played the whole game, no issues, nobody would be on here today saying that he shouldn't have played last night.
I would have said, no, you know what I would have said? Well, he didn't crap out. I guess he's lucky. No, seriously, that's what I would have said, because that's exactly what I was saying before it. You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I understand what you're saying, you know, but I think sometimes we put these kids in situations because of the money and that. And I understand money is the king and the desire. Well, no, but I'm saying, no, that's not true. Because ownership could have said, hey, look.
He chose to play. He chose to play.
No, I understand
that. It wasn't like nobody forced him to play. He chose to play. So nobody put him in that.
In fact, it's the opposite. No, I'm saying the opposite. No, he wasn't forced. He did it because he wanted to. I'm saying that ownership didn't step in and say, hey, look, maybe we shouldn't be letting him play, because the chances of losing him for multiple seasons is a very formidable thing.
Yeah, but also getting
I
to the finals.
I understand what you're saying.
Also, getting to the finals is never guaranteed. It's been 25 years ago since you were in the finals. So, I mean, there's a risk to everything, and he took a risk to work out for him.
Let me ask you one question, and I mean, this is just the truth of it. So they let him play because he didn't want to miss that chance, and he didn't even make it out of the first quarter.
Yeah, but
I'm just saying, like, so he played, but he didn't really play.
But Jay,
you know what I mean?
But Jay, the thing is, though, after he played last game and played and was all right, I knew he was playing this game.
Oh, I knew he was going to play too. We all knew he was going to play. I'm just saying, sometimes I guess the point I'm trying to make is I feel like across the board that the NBA or the team should implement that. It's almost like you should go into concussion protocol. Like, you know, these players are going to play because that's what they're doing. They're dogs. But sometimes a dog doesn't know what's good for it. And sometimes I feel like management or trainers or somebody that's professional should step in and say, nope, I know you want to play, but guess what? We're not going to let you, because medically you are not cleared to play. And really, truthfully, I know that he said he felt fine. And maybe they're going to say, well, it's just a tightness. So it's not really an injury. It's just tightness. But the tightness is the first symptom of an injury that's about to happen. And sometimes I feel like we as a collective body of people don't always do the right things for these players in their best interests.
Joe, you're right. You finally got one right.
And I only took you 6 chances.
Yeah. Well, he said every series, and then it was game 4, game 5, game 6. But you got it right. You did. I'll give you credit.
Hey, Joe said, hey, I'm just playing bettors averages. I do parlays, and sometimes you win, and sometimes you don't.
He just
Hey,
well, hell, the man's done asked about Kevin Durant.
As a Pacer fan, is one of the greatest seasons I've ever got to experience as a Pacer fan. And it's been a long time that we've got to experience a season like this, but this one to me was even better than the one with Reggie, just because of all the big shots and the stuff. So this one was even a little sweeter for me.
Well, we weren't supposed to be here. But that Pacer team was considered pretty good.
Yeah. So I mean, this one was.
Hey, I got you guys a bumper sticker though.
Hey, the media didn't think we would be here, but hey, I told you at the beginning of the season that I thought we'd be in the finals. I really did. I believed that after last season, the season we had last year. I did. I thought we'd make it to the finals this year from the very beginning.
You did. You said.
Hey, Gonzo, I did get you and the rest of the Pacer fan base a sticker. It's coming in the mail, and I'm gonna get it to you. It says, "Always the bridesmaid, but never the bride."
Hey, at least we were at the party.
We was at the party. We made it this year.
Hey, that's right. At least you're at the party. Damn it.
Hey,
Okay.
I'll take a second. I'll take a second. I'll take a second in the NBA Finals every year.
I'll tell you though, I really do start. I am starting to think though that the Pacers franchise
championship before I go to a championship. Hey,
I want the opportunity to try.
Let's go to the finals every year to have a chance to win it. You know what I mean? I'll take second every year. That means that means we have a damn good team if we're getting there every year.
You say if you're not first, you're second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever. Yeah. No, but seriously, I do feel like I am starting to feel like that Pacers franchise is just cursed. Like you guys get so close, and then it's just
could be.
Maybe one of these damn days.
Well, let's go to another curse real quick. Let's go to the Houston Rockets.
Oh boy, let's talk about this one.
Jay, I disagree with you on this. I think it's two-way street here for me. I think they make their team better this season and have a chance to make it to the conference finals this year. I really believe that with him. Their future, I don't know. So I have and I think they gave up too much. That's the big thing. I don't like what they gave up. I don't like the 5 second-round picks, the first-round pick, and the 2 players. I think they gave up too much. That's just my opinion. I
know this is going to be unpopular opinion with probably Jay and some other people, but I don't think they should have got rid of Dillon Brooks.
Defensive player.
Yeah, I like Dillon Brooks for a couple of reasons. I like Dillon Brooks because he does play really good defense, but I like Dillon Brooks because sometimes Dillon Brooks gets into people's heads.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they should have got rid of him. I think he means a lot more to meant a lot more to the Rockets than what people thought. I really do.
For sure.
I think you guys are going to miss him. I really do.
Hey Jay, did Green's performance in the playoffs did that cost him his spot on the team?
I believe so. I do. And let's talk about it because this is exactly what irritates me. I feel like what did he say about Indiana? No, that ain't gonna happen. Real quick.
Hey Jay, if you don't mind, let me just tell everybody out there what was gave up.
Yeah, no, please go ahead.
Okay, so the Houston Rockets get Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant averaged 26 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists this year. He averaged over 40% from 3-point and over 50% from the field. I think it's 52% for this season. He's done that for the last 3 years. What the Phoenix Suns will be getting return, they get Jalen Green, guard. They get Dillon Brooks, who I believe is also a starter. They also get the number 10 pick in the draft, the 10th pick in the draft this year, and then they get 5 second-round draft choices. So I think that's an awful lot to give up. Especially, do we know that he's going to sign on an extension? I would think that they pretty much have that wrapped up, I would think. I heard like a 2-year, over $120 million extension is what I heard. And that was brought up. I can't remember who brought it up, but I did see that on TV.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's talk about this for a minute. Kevin Durant. All right. Here's how we look at this. Number one, right now, OKC, from a betting perspective, OKC is still the clear-cut favorites to win the title again. Right now, this on their betting odds. This is early betting odds. So OKC is the favorite. I know Houston and one other team. I don't remember what that team was, but I know there's another team in there. I want to say it might have been Cleveland, but there's 2 other teams in there that are vying for that number 2 spot in terms of the ranking profile. So I know Houston's up there, right?
Pacers were number 2 until what happened last night. That we moved.
Of course they were, and that's what I'm saying. So you can't. I mean, they were right. Hence the term "were." They were. Not anymore though. You solidified that in the first quarter in Game 7.
Like Houston was a playoff team.
I know. So
but they're not anymore.
No, not well. I don't know. I don't know what they are right now. To be honest with you, betting. That's what I'm saying. If you go by the betting odds,
the playoffs are over and they got put out of the playoffs. They're not a playoff team no more. They were out of the playoffs in the first round. They're not a playoff team.
Are you still talking about this year? I'm not talking about this year. I'm just talking about next year, this upcoming season.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about this? That was a little dig. Was that a little dig at me? Was that a little dig that I?
I'm saying you're not going to be a playoff team this year. I don't think, because I think you guys lost too much defense with losing Dillon Brooks.
Oh yeah, I'm getting to that. Damn, you jumped the gun. Shit. Fuck. You must have. I can't say it on TV. Jay, don't say it. 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 Don't say it. Don't say it. Okay. So back to what I was saying a second ago. So right now the Rockets are high on the betting odds. Cleveland's high on the betting odds. Clear-cut favorites OKC. Pacers are somewhere down in Garbageville. But that's neither here nor there. When I look at this trade, right, if you want to take it at face value, we gave up 5 second-rounders. Well, I really have never really gave a whole lot of thought to second-rounders other than that they made good bench material, possibly. I really kind of look at the first round. That's where I get my good picks. That's where I make my organizational changing picks, hopefully, because they don't always pan out. We know that the first round doesn't always pan out. So that was really the biggest thing to me. In terms of when it came to getting Kevin Durant, honestly, we really didn't give up as much as what people have given up for Durant in the past. Typically, a guy of Durant's caliber would have been 3 or 4 first-round picks. I think Harden trade and Mikal Bridges and all those other guys out there for what they had to do, the Desmond Bain. If you really look at it from that standpoint, we didn't give up that much. We gave up a lot of second-round picks, but we only gave up 1 first-round pick and 2 players. So 1 pick, 2 players. Yes, I don't like the fact that Dylan Brooks, because that really does take a huge mindset and defensive player away from our team. So we did, and that's why I don't like this. First of all, let me be very clear. I don't like this trade. I told you I didn't want Kevin Durant. But we didn't give up as much as I thought, because I really thought we were going to give up. I thought if we brought him in, we would give up more than just 1 first. I thought it'd be like 2 or 3 first rounders. Is what I was thinking that they were going to do. And the fact that they only gave up a number 10 pick and Brooks and Green, I still don't like it, but it's a little bit more palatable than if we would have given them 3 first-round picks. Then I'd have been fucking furious. Not that I'm not upset, but I would have been really furious. Here's my problem. Going back to your original question about Jalen Green, Tony. Yes, 100%. His performance in the playoffs was the reason why I believe he was put on the chopping block. I think the Rockets had higher expectations for him. I think that when the playoffs came around, he didn't deliver on those expectations. And so they said, that's it. All right, we're going to go get Durant. We're going to try to compete for a playoff because I don't think you, Jalen Green, are going to get it done for us. I don't like that because I feel like Jalen Green is still a super young kid. It's his only, second or third year in the league. It's his first time in the playoffs. Give the guy some development. Give him some time to mature. Let him get into this. That's the whole point of playoff experience, to get better. And you only gave him 1 shot at it. I think that's completely freaking unfair. They shouldn't have gotten rid of him or Dylan Brooks or the Pigs. They should have stayed the course, continued to develop the team, and then if the second or third time in the playoffs, Jalen Green is still sucking, okay, maybe then we move on from him. But you only gave him 1 crack at the pie. That's horse shit.
And he was a big reason why you got to the second position.
Of course he was.
I mean, I know he didn't have a great playoffs, but he had a pretty good season, regular season.
Of course.
So I didn't quite understand.
You got to give a guy time to reflect. Okay, you know what? I did play 1 good game, but you can say Jimmy Butler wasn't there, and that's fine. You can say that all you want, and I get it. But at the end of the day, you got to let this guy go into the offseason off of getting his ass whooped in the playoffs. Let him marinate on that. Let him get into the gym. Let him put the work ethic in. Now he knows what the playoffs looks like. He knows what it feels like. So let him mature. Let him get that development so that when he goes back the next time, he won't make those same, and he'll get better. But they didn't even give him that opportunity. They just, and what do we get in return? We got to, let me tell you what we got in return. And this is what really upsets me the most. More than anything is what upsets me. When you look at the last, I'm just going to say, well, hell, if I go back to 2018 and 19 season, even when he was with Golden State, that was probably his best time, honestly, was when he had 78 games. He played 78 games, so he missed a couple of games. But then you see when he goes to Brooklyn right after that, the 2021 season on, he then dips down to 35, and I'm going to go in consecutive years. So 35 games, 55, 39, 8, 47. I think 8 was when he tore the Achilles probably. 47, 75, and then 62. So, and that was last season. So I'm going to go off what we got from last year, just using that as an example, because he's 36 years old, which means his body's not going to get any younger. And so last year he missed 20 games, but he did average 36 and a half minutes. So I'm thinking, based off of that the Rockets most likely would say, okay, Kevin, maybe we drop you down to about 28 minutes a game, and we see where you land health-wise, right? My problem with Kevin Durant is I just don't think he's not durable anymore. He's going to miss games. Yeah,
Jay, really, to be honest with you, playing 70-something games 2 years ago and 60-something games this year, that's not too far off what most players play nowadays with the load management. Most players
you do have a point. I mean, that's
15 to 20. Most players are missing 15 to 20 games with the load management. So over the last 2 seasons, I would say he's pretty much played on par with about everybody else. You know what I mean?
I wonder. Let me ask you guys a question. So we know what. So let me give you one more. Let me check out one more stat here real quick.
So over the last 2 seasons, he's been pretty healthy. Is all I was saying.
Oh, I totally get what you're saying. I looked at the minute. So the field goal percentage. He's definitely over 50%. So he has a great field goal percentage. And then when you look at 3-point, so he's 43% behind the 3-point arc, and then, well, it's not giving me that. He's okay. So he's averaging. So he had 26.6 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists at 52. Okay, so he still has good numbers. Let me ask the question I want to ask you guys. The question I want to ask you guys is, how much longer or how many years of good basketball do you think Kevin Durant has left in him?
I'm gonna say if again, it's a big question mark is if he gets hurt. If he don't get hurt, I'm gonna say 3 years.
Okay, about right. That's probably what I was thinking. 2 to 3. What do you are you in alignment with that, Gonzo?
Honestly, at first, the other day I said maybe 3 to 4, but the more I think about it, he's not a player that relies on being explosive. Like he ain't a guy that jumps off the court, and he's more of a jump shooter. He don't rely on like explosiveness. I could see him playing till in his 40s, like LeBron.
Okay,
I really could, just because because we were talking about this with Halliburton. Because I think, and the reason I brought it up, we got talking about Durant last night when we was talking about Halliburton was because of the Achilles. But I was telling my cousin, I don't think it'll affect. Like, I'm not scared about Halliburton coming back not being the same player like I might be if he was like a Derrick Rose type player that relied on being explosive and jumping off through the moon. Halliburton's not that kind of guy. Neither is Durant. Durant's a guy, he relies on getting to a spot, hitting his mid-range jumps. You know what I mean? He's not real explosive. So I think his game will be able to keep carrying on as long as he can stay healthy. Like if he don't get injuries, I think
that really is a key right there.
I think his game is kind of like LeBron's game. He'll still be able to be effective as he's older if his body holds up on him. So I can see him maybe, I'd say at least 3 or 4 years, but you might get a couple more years out of him just because of the style he plays. I think lends to being able to play a little bit longer.
So let me ask you this. So I guess the follow-on or the follow-up question to that would be based on how long we think he has left in him. If you're the Rockets and you got to sign him, and they're going to sign him to an extension because what they gave up, they're not giving all that up just for 1 year. So they got. Oh, I know, right? So they got to be looking at multiple years. So if you're doing it multiple years, do you do a 2-year with a 3rd-year team option, or do you do 3 years with a 4-year player option?
I would do either one. Just depending on how much money is it going to be. You know what I mean? But
right. What they're going to run you.
And Jay, I'll be honest with you. I was messing with you. I'm not crazy about the trade. I think they could have done Houston. I wouldn't have gave up Brooks. I probably wouldn't. I agree with you guys. Green probably shouldn't have got traded. But to me, Brooks is almost like Houston's Draymond Green.
Oh yeah, no, that's exactly that was.
I wouldn't have got rid of him.
The first thing that went to my mind was Draymond.
But I will say this: with KD on the team, I think you guys have a lot better chance of going farther in the playoffs than what you would have if you guys would have just stayed as you did this year. Because I think Durant does give you that score that can go get you a bucket when you need a bucket, and that's what you guys were missing. And like you said, you didn't give up too much. I just think Brooks is going to impact you a lot. I didn't like the guys you gave up, but I do think they'll be a playoff team and have a chance to make a decent run if Durant stays healthy.
The last thing I want to say about this is this. One thing we know about Durant is he's not a leader, and he doesn't want to be a leader. Durant plays his best when he's just able to go out there and play basketball and not worry about the team. And I think Golden State, his tenure with Golden State really was a shining example of how good he can be when he has strong players that are in those leadership roles, and all he has to do is get the rock, shoot the rock, and get back down and do what he does. That's when he performs his best. And I really think that with Houston, you got Fred VanVleet, you got Sagoon, you got a player like Amon Thompson, who are really vocal leadership type guys. And I don't think that Rockets are going to ask him to come in and be the leader or the savior of this team. They're going to probably ask him to come in and shoot the damn rock and get points on the board. And if that's what they're doing and they give him good leadership around him, then I think Durant can flourish in that kind of system. And I'm putting a lot of faith in Udoka at this point. I really am. Because Udoka had this, I'm assuming Udoka had to bless off on this. And so I'm really putting a lot of faith in this guy.
Jay, I think Durant's a better leader than what you give him credit for. And the reason
I just think you're fucking with me.
No, I'm being serious. And the reason, and I'm gonna explain why. And this is the reason I do think that. For one, some leaders just lead by example. And I think that's more how he leads. But I think reason I think he's a better leader than what a lot of people give him credit for. Because think back when he was on the Brooklyn Nets. You had all that shit going on with Irving, all the stuff that was going on. And we all talk about how big of a failure that was. But if it wasn't for his big toe being on the 3-point line on that shot, we'd be talking about that Brooklyn Nets team and how he's a leader totally different, because they would have advanced and went on in that playoff series, it's the Eastern Conference Finals or whatever. And we'd been talking about it a lot different, all over just one little toe. So I just don't think he's like a boisterous leader. I think he leads more just by going in, putting in his work, leads by example. But I do think he's a better leader than what a lot of people give him credit for.
I've seen Kevin Durant's feet in the picture one time. That's not a little toe. It's a pretty good sized toe, to be honest with you.
Okay, guys, let me ask you this question. Rockets right now, are they better than the Lakers?
Yes. I would get behind that. Yes, I do.
As the teams are constructed right now, I mean, changes can be made. So,
right.
Better Minnesota. Are they better in Minnesota right now?
I think they're better than the Lakers right now. Minnesota,
I say yes.
I'm only gonna say yes because I feel like when I watched that Minnesota versus Golden State series, I felt like there was a lot of glaring weaknesses still within that team. I think I've seen times where even Anthony Edwards has disappeared. So I would say, I don't know if we're better. I think we're more equal to in terms of talent and stuff like that. So I think we could go 7 with Minnesota.
I think them two teams are probably pretty close.
You brought it up, Golden State.
Man, when Jimmy Buckets and Steph are on the floor healthy as shit, that's a hard damn team to beat. I don't know.
I give the Warriors a little bit of an advantage there. I think. Like I said, I don't say it's a big gap. I think it'd be close. Like if it was a 7-game series, I think it'd be a real good series. But
Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I do think we're better than Dallas. I know they're going to get Cooper flagged this year, but I'm not 100% sold that AD stays on the court fully healthy, and I think he misses time. So because of injuries and things of that, and I also know Kyrie is injury prone sometimes. So because of injuries on that team, I'm going to say yes. And I am going to say agree with Gonzo on the Golden State. If it goes 7 games, I think it's anybody's series.
I think just how the roster's constructed, I would favor Dallas, but I do agree. Like it depends on like the injuries and stuff. But like if Dallas if both teams are fully healthy, I think I like Dallas's roster just a little bit better.
A couple more. San Antonio.
I would have to go with the Rockets. San Antonio hasn't proved anything yet. I know they're young, but and I think they're going to be better this year. But I'd have to say the Rockets are ahead of San Antonio.
Okay, guys, see what you think. This is what I think. I think, of course, number one's got to be the Thunder, because they give the Thunder such a rough time. And again, there could be changes made to the roster. Who knows? I would have Denver 2, and then honestly, I would have the Rockets 3. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I could see Rockets being at 3. I want to see Denver. I want to see what Denver does with this new coach next year.
I think if Dallas is healthy, they could be up there.
Yeah,
and
Golden State
and another team that's better.
I forgot Clippers.
You know what I'm saying? Another team was better than what people give them credit for because they always get hurt and fall apart. Is the Clippers?
I forgot about the Clippers.
Yeah, but I'm going to stay with the track record of the Clippers, and I'm keeping them a little lower down until they show me differently. Because of their track record being so consistent the way it is, I'm going to keep them down until they do differently.
Okay, I was going at this differently. I was going at this just by the rosters. I wasn't even going by like their track record or injuries or any of that. I was just going by the way the roster was constructed as of now, who I thought had a little bit better roster.
Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit about the East. The East is going to be interesting. Who's going to? I mean, we talked about the Pacers, and yeah, they did lose Halliburton, but right now with no trades being made, who's going to step up and take the East? I mean, is it going to be Cleveland? Boston's going to be different, I'm sure. They've got a big injury. I mean, does this help? Hey, Milwaukee say, hey man, we're keeping Giannis because we're going to keep Giannis' ass here because we may have a chance to win this. You know, what about the Knicks? They don't have a coach, but I mean, look where they took the Pacers now, and the Pacers are not going to be what they were. Boston's not going to be what they were. If they get the right coach and they keep the same team, what could the Knicks be? Who's going to be that team that's going to step up in the East? The East is up for grabs.
I think Cleveland.
Could it be Detroit? Could it be a new team?
I think Detroit is going to be better than they were this year, but the way the rosters are right now, I think Cleveland has a real good chance to pop up there.
The reason I don't like Cleveland is because they weren't tough.
Yeah, but Dad, we made a lot of teams not look tough.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I'm just being awesome. The Pacers didn't make a lot of teams look, and I'm not saying that like to be arrogant. I'm just saying if you watch the games, how many times did you see teams playing the Pacers and they looked like they were wore out, tired, and
I think the Knicks
and like they were done. Like we done that to a lot of teams.
I think the Knicks would have beat Cleveland. Cleveland, I think they was a regular season team.
Yeah, I think the Knicks might have beat them this year, but I think Cleveland got a lot of valuable experience this year in the playoffs. And the Knicks, I just don't trust the damn Knicks. But I mean, you fire your head coach after he's the best. He's done the best you've done in 25 years.
Like you had no game plan. No
game plan. So I can't really. It's hard for me to trust the Knicks. That's why I do think it opens the door for Detroit to make a deep run. But like I said, I think the Pacers are still going to be real competitive. I don't think we'll be competing for the finals. But I would say,
what would you say as far as finishing in the top 8? What would you think? What are you expecting out of the Pacers? You're hoping to be maybe a 6?
I think we could be a 5-6 seed. I think we can avoid being a playing team. If we avoid being a playing team, I really do. I think we could with our roster, and they're going to make some tweaks.
Yeah. But
with what the guys we have, I think we could.
Yeah, we got a really good coach too.
And our coach, I think we could be a top 16. Where before, I think before the injury, I think we had a chance to be top 2.
Yeah. Okay, Joe, what are you thinking needs?
Yeah, so this is how I look at it. I do agree with a lot of your points that you guys are talking about. I think number one, I think we all know that the Knicks didn't necessarily beat the Detroit Pistons. I think there was a couple of games there that I think really belonged to the Pistons, but I think the way the refs called the fouls and some things they didn't call really put the Pistons at a disadvantage. So I really do still think that the Pistons are the better team. I still feel like New York doesn't have a deep bench. I feel like New York has really 5 really good stars and maybe one good bench guy. So for those reasons, I still think Cleveland is your team to beat. All right. I think in terms of because of the 3 major injuries, right? Tatum, Halliburton, and Lillard, because those 3 guys aren't going to be there next year, which I really don't think they are. I think they're going to be rehabbing. And if they come back, are they really 100? I don't know. There's a lot there to unpack. But because of those 3 big injuries, it really forces me to reshuffle the way I look at that conference. And so I still got Cleveland at 1. I'd probably put Detroit at number 2. And then I would probably go Knicks at 3. And then I'd probably put Pacers at 4. And I really say Pacers at 4 because I felt like even without Halliburton, to your guys' credit, if you can figure out who's going to step up in that starting rotation, whether it be Mathurin or you go get a free agent or whatever it is you do, even without that, even if you just put Mathurin in there and get a role player, that team is still good enough to hold that number 4 spot.
Well, we still have a good roster.
It's going to be interesting.
You're right. I mean, we still have a good roster.
It's going to be interesting to see what Boston does. I mean,
well, we know what do we know about Boston? Number 1, Tatum's out for the year. Number 2, they were talking about roster reconstruction, and they were going to break that team apart a little bit at a time. So that's why I really don't have Boston anywhere in a series.
One other thing the Pacers have going for them, besides, like you said, the decent roster, is why he just brought up. We have one of the better coaches in the NBA as well.
And that's another thing
I'd put Rick Carlisle right up there with about anybody that's coaching right now. I think he's real good.
That's another thing is I'd almost take Detroit over Cleveland.
Tricky Ricky.
I'd almost take Detroit over Cleveland because Cleveland's coach did not impress me at all, guys.
The coach has it, but the players still have a really good roster construction. So I'm going to give it one more year and think that maybe last year, because they were, look, I'm not making excuses for them, but they were battling some injuries themselves. How much that really truly affected them, I don't know. I want to see them as a fully healthy team with no BS injuries, no nothing, and then let's see what they really have. So for that reason, I'm still giving them number 1, and I think Detroit still has a little bit more to prove to take over that number 1 spot.
Okay, guys, let's move on.
You know what the Pacers could do?
Hire you, hire me, hire Gonzo. Sure, they could do that.
They could. Hey, Giannis is looking for a home.
Get out of here. You ain't got enough draft capital. You have to give up a lot. You know what? You probably could if you had enough draft capital or players that you're willing to part ways with, which would be most of your roster to bring in Giannis.
Yeah.
That would hurt you. That would mess
you. Have to give up Mathurin. You'd have to give up Mathurin and a couple other players, probably.
Say goodbye to Neesmith. I'll tell you that right now. Say goodbye to Neesmith. He'll be one of the guys they're going to go after.
I don't see that.
That guy was playing great in the playoffs, by the way. Neesmith was really doing a great job.
Yeah, he struggled the last couple games, but other than that, yeah.
Okay, guys, let's move on.
Neesmith's a good shooter, and he's good defensively.
Let's move on to the college.
He fouled out like the last 3 games.
Yeah, he did foul out 3 games in the series.
But sometimes that dude gets some fouls called on him that he didn't even touch the guy.
Yeah.
And then he goes down and he gets hammered. I'll tell you somebody don't get calls at all. Miles Turner. That dude gets hammered. He'll get fucking throat chopped. They will not call a foul for that guy for nothing. I don't know why he did to the referees. But he'll go up and you can see like 3 guys will hit him. No whistle. And then at the other end, he'll be straight up and they'll call foul on him. It's like, damn, you guys hate Miles Turner?
All right.
Poor Chris. I guess no respect.
Yeah, he don't get no calls at all. He don't you watch some of the Pacers games in the playoffs. I mean, I'm telling you, he drives to the goal. He don't get calls like some players do. He don't.
Look, stop it, Gonzo. Just let it go. Because you can't tell me how many times I've seen you take 2.5-minute games and make them an hour off the calls that go your way. So don't come here, cardiac kid, because I know you get some calls too.
No, this ain't even about this series.
It sounds like a little wine. Melody, I don't need the cheese. I don't need to see his Gonzo brought the wine.
I'm not talking about just this series. I'm talking about all season. That's how Miles Turner gets called. He don't get calls. I ain't whining.
I understand. Are you done? Are you done? Do you need a Band-Aid? Do you need me to kiss your boo-boo? What do you need? Do you need a hug? Okay, welcome to Jason's Therapy Hour on how we can fix Gonzo's whining.
Let's move to College World Series, guys. We had LSU play Coastal Carolina. Game 1, LSU won 1-0 over Coastal Carolina. Went to the game 2 the next day, and LSU are your new College World Series champions, defeating Coastal Carolina 5-3. We had managers getting thrown out in the first in the first 10 pitches or something like that for Coastal Carolina in that second game. I don't know what the hell was all going on with that, but yeah, LSU's your champions, guys.
Yeah, congratulations to LSU. This isn't the first time that they've won the national title. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, but I believe they have 8 other titles behind this one. Am I right, or is it 7 other titles behind this one?
I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, I was rooting for Coastal Carolina, but didn't quite have enough. LSU had a little bit too much pitching for them. I mean, Coastal Carolina, if they could have got that first game, maybe they'd had a chance, losing 1-0. But after that first game, I didn't feel too good about their chances. But yeah, good College World Series, man. It was kind of a surprising series. I mean, a lot of the favorites got put out early in the regionals and stuff. So it was a good College World Series. Got to see some. Hell, we got to see a world. I'm not world breaking, but a great big no hitter that was didn't happen for 65 years. So it was a sports has been really good, guys, lately. It has been all the sports have been pretty good.
Yeah, I would say the quality of competition in this year's College World Series was one of the best that we've had, like you said, in a very long period of time. So it really does put a lot of ownership and a lot of weight on the quality of that championship by LSU because there was a lot of really good teams out there. I think Coastal Carolina, they were the number 13 ranked team. So they were really kind of the quote unquote Cinderella in this. And they did well. I tip my hat to Coastal Carolina. You guys repped well. You were just going up against a team that was destined for this crown. And I knew once LSU took out Arkansas, I felt like Coastal Carolina. I just wanted to see Coastal Carolina put up a fight. Not that they were going to win it, but I wanted to see them put up a fight, and I think they did that to LSU. I think they went in there and put up a fight. But LSU was just a better quality, better talented, more experienced, better coached team, and it was just their year for it. In all honesty, and I think they've shown that they are probably college's premier baseball program, not team, but program. I did that program is probably the best tiered baseball program in college baseball. To be honest with you.
Yeah, Coastal Carolina depended a lot on their hitting. I mean, you see they only scored 3 runs in 2 games, so it's going to be hard to win if you depend on your hitting and you only score 3 runs. You're going to have a hard time winning a series. But Chris, what was your take on the College World Series this year?
Oh, it was awesome up until the final game. I think the umpires of that game should never be allowed to umpire another NCAA tournament. You throw a coach out he didn't do to get thrown out of a national championship game. You should have to really do something. He asked about a call, came up to the top of the dugout. I guess he was issued a warning, and because he didn't leave immediately, they just threw him out of the game. And then he went out there and started arguing with the umpire after that, after he was already tossed. Like, you tossed the head coach and the first base coach of a team in the first inning of a national championship game without, for a coach to get thrown out in that situation, he should have to be almost his hands on the umpire almost, or up in his face, just acting a fool. But just to be standing out there and talking to the guy, to me that was the umpire trying to show that he had power, and he kind of abused his power.
Well,
and to me that kind of ruined the World Series, because I'm not saying that Coastal Carolina would have won that game, but when that happens, that's hard for a team to overcome. They might have been able to force a third game to see if something could have happened. I mean, we'll never know, but I just think. But the College World Series this year was awesome. You had a bunch, even before the World Series, you had a lot of teams not make it to the World Series that thought they would. There was I think 13, 13 of the top teams that didn't even make it to the World Series this year. So, I mean, but college baseball was awesome. I just hated to see it end with something like that because, I mean, it also puts a kind of a sour note on it, something that was unbelievable this year.
I seen the announcer, I think Carl Ravage, something like that. He was kind of defending the umpires. He said, "Well, you can't argue balls and strikes. That's one thing you cannot argue." And they tried to argue balls and strikes, and that's why they got thrown out. Again, like you said, they went out there in their face. So I mean, if you're in your dugout, yeah, that sounds like a little. And I didn't even see it, so I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not see that happen. I checked on the game later in the game, so I didn't see that actually happen. Jay, what do you think about the get thrown out?
Yeah, I understand 100% where Chris is coming from in terms of the magnitude of the game, the magnitude of that specific game, how it was going to affect the series ultimately. So I do think the umps do have to get a little bit of latitude in terms of what they will allow from the managers to do to them, the flack or whatever you want to call it, they'll take from them. I will say this, though. At the end of the day, some of that ownership has to go on to the coach himself. The coach himself has to say internally, okay, if I go full ape shit on this guy, I'm probably going to get kicked out of this game, and therefore my team is going to be at a disadvantage. So even though, yeah, we could talk about the sensitivity of the umpires, but at the end of the day, them coaches got to know also the magnitude of this game, and if they want to be in this game and be effective in this game, not to say that you can't go out there and make an argument, but when you see when the ump is going to give you, hey, no, we're not doing it. Okay, you made your case. Let it go. You got to let it go. Otherwise, you're getting tossed.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But the problem was he never went ape shit or nothing, Jay, until after he got thrown out. He wasn't going. He wasn't yelling, screaming, cussing, or going ape shit or nothing until after he got ejected. Because I agree with you 100%, Coach. But it wasn't like he wasn't out there going crazy. Now, after he got ejected, he did, which I would have too, because then you're already ejected. So you might as well.
Yeah, you're already ejected. So what does it matter at that point?
You're already ejected at that point. But before he got ejected, he wasn't acting a fool like that. That was my thing was like, I understand if he's acting a fool like you're saying, get the hell out of here. But it sucks. And I've umpired a lot. And I've had people threaten to put me in 50-gallon drums and feed me to Rottweilers.
Yeah, but
guys gonna meet me out in the parking lot.
I understand you're an umpire.
Guys gonna meet you on the parking lot with a gun. Like, hey, I know how people can be. So,
Chris, like, nah, Jay, I was an umpire. Fuck them coaches. You're done. You're out of here. You're out of here.
And with me saying this, I have thrown a coach out before for arguing balls and strikes.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because I only caught bits and pieces. Honestly, I'll be honest, I caught bits and pieces of the game, but I had some other things going on, so I couldn't watch the full game. But I was keeping contact on my phone. Actually, I was watching on my phone. So I didn't get to see the actual exchange. But just walk me through the exchange. So, if you don't mind, did the umpire give him an opportunity to, because I'm sure he went out there and said his case. After he was done saying his case, did the umpire say, hey, you keep this up and you're out of here? Or did he just automatically just throw him out?
He gave him a warning, and the coach stayed at the top of the dugout and asked him what he was getting a warning for, because of course there's 25,000 people, and you know what I mean. And I guess he thought the coach was arguing, and since the coach didn't go right back down the steps in the dugout, he threw him out. And then the guy came on out of the dugout and went off.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things where, and I don't know, I mean, I'm assuming these coaches had interactions with this umpire before. Like, was this the first time they've ever had interaction with this umpire to know what type of? Because I don't know either. My thing is, if you know that this is the biggest game of your life, and if he does give you a warning, you know, sometimes you got to let it back off. But I understand too, emotions run high in these kinds of games, and maybe that umpire should have gave him a little bit more latitude.
And if he's standing at the dugout, and the umpire's at home,
yeah,
you might not have heard what the, you know what I mean? You might not have heard exactly what the umpire said. So that's what he was saying. He said, I was asking him what I got a warning for.
Right.
And then he got thrown out. You know what I mean? Because if you got 30,000 people yelling, the umpire's out at home plate and you're in the dugout, you might not hear exactly what he said.
Hey guys, I want to change the subject.
Yeah,
to,
I mean, I agree. I agree. I mean,
I just seen.
but let me ask you this: before they start that game, before they start that game, do the umpires? I'm assuming they meet with the head coaches and say, "Hey, look, head coaches, today we're not arguing balls and strikes. If you argue balls and strikes, I'm going to throw you out." Do they have that kind of a meeting before the game ever starts, or is that just understood rule?
You have a lot of times you might have a little meeting up at the plate, but it's really not like that. It's more of like just excuse me, introducing yourself, saying, "Hey, we're going to have a clean game" or something like that. But I mean, it's just basically understood that you don't argue balls and strikes or basically anything that's a judgment call.
Okay. All right, that's all. I was just curious.
Yeah, it's not.
I knew you were
It's not something that the umpire
had an idea.
Like umpires will remind them like every game of. You know what I mean? Like every umpire does their every umpire does their little meeting different. Like in Little League, you go up there, you usually do a coin flip, and you'll tell both coaches like, "Hey, my strike zone from here to here, I got it. It's not going to be a walk fest. So tell your guys to be ready to swing." And you know what I mean, and stuff like that, especially in Little League, because a lot of times, like we used to go up there, hey, if it's below the armpits and to the knees, it's going to be a strike. So tell your coach, tell your players to be ready to swing. And if you let the coaches know what the strike zone is, and then if you call it the same both ways, you usually don't get many arguments.
Right.
I just seen here what the Miami Heat offered the Phoenix Suns for Durant. I want you to see what you guys thought of this. It says here that they were offered the Heat offered Andrew Wiggins, Terry Rozier, Haywood Highsmith, Jamie Jaquez Jr., and the 20th pick in the draft. That's what they that's what they offered for Kevin Durant, and it was rejected.
Yeah, I'd have rejected that and took Houston's deal over that. I definitely
Houston had a better deal.
Took Jalen Green and Brooks over that them players.
Plus the 10th pick. Yeah,
that's what they offered, and they didn't take it.
Okay, well, that's good. I didn't realize that they had that type of offer put in, but okay. Wow, what a time to be alive.
I heard it came down to them too. Minnesota was already kind of eliminated over the weekend, and they said it came down to Saturday night, and then Sunday morning they accepted.
No, that's definitely, to me, they got the better deal from Houston than what Miami offered them.
Houston could have probably took something out of that deal and still been better.
Yeah, comparing it to that offer, Houston probably could have put together something different. It still beat that offer.
Yeah, they could have Dylan Brooks out of that offer. They could have probably took Dylan Brooks out of that offer.
Because
I wonder if they would have said. I wonder if they would have. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they could have beaten that offer. Even if all they offered them was the number 10 pick, I think they would have beat that offer.
If you guys can figure out your defense, I think you guys will still be all right. That's what worries me a little bit. I just hope you didn't lose too much defense.
Well, that worries me too, because we had a really strong defense.
Yes.
Really strong defense. But it is what it is. Not anymore, because Durant don't really play defense. So now we got to see what we get.
He's not terrible defensively, though. He's not like a great defensive stopper, but he puts effort in and is not just flat terrible in defense.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
You know Houston a lot better than I do, of course, because you follow them a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people say that they think they'll be able to replace Green at that guard position pretty easy. Do you feel that way?
Oh man, no, I don't feel like that at all. I still feel like that's gonna hurt them a little bit. I mean, Van Fleet, he can slide over and take up the point spot if he had to. I'd have to go back and relook at my roster again, but I mean, Well, I mean, honestly, if you're going to slide Kevin Durant in there, you
Well,
may go with 3 forwards, a center, and Van Fleet at that point, and play large or play tall ball at that point.
I've seen somebody post what they thought the starting lineup would be. I can't remember. No, of course they had Durant and Adams in there. They had Amin Thomas, but I don't remember the other two, to be honest with you. Oh, Van Fleet was one, but I don't remember the other.
Well, and that's interesting too, because I just saw that Houston gave Adams $39 million over 3 years, so they got him back under contract too. So they're gonna still run with that big man swap out type of play. And I like Adams. Adams plays exceptional defense.
Yeah, it was Sagoon. It was Sagoon. They said the lineup would be Sagoon. Can't think of his name now. The guy they just got. Durant and Adams and Amin Thomas and Van Fleet would be their starting lineup. What do you think of that?
So this is what I'm seeing right now. I wanted to see what their depth chart looked like on ESPN if it was updated to have Durant in there, and it is. It's completely reinvigorated. So this is according to the ESPN depth chart. The starters are point guard Van Fleet. The shooting guard is Reed Shepherd. And then they're going with the power forwards of Amin Thompson and Durant, and then Sagoon as the center. And then they got Jabari Smith Jr. as the backup behind Durant. And then of course they got everybody else, Tyrese Eason and the whole shebang. So as it stands right now, they're going to run with Reed Shepherd at the shooting guard. Now Reed Shepherd is a good 3-point shooter, and I guess they felt good enough about Shepherd that they could lose Green and slide Shepherd up, and they felt like that would be good enough to run with. So I don't know. Reed Shepherd hasn't, he was acquired, I think, 2 years ago as a lottery pick. So I don't know. We'll have to see what he's going to be about this year, I guess.
Yep. All right, guys. Anybody got anything else before we get out of here?
No, I've exhausted all of my tears over today. What a time to be alive.
Well, everybody have a good night. Monday Night
Raw.
One
thing to say. Hey, guys, if you like today's content, please make sure you on our YouTube page, you're giving ESEN, Elite Sports Entertainment Network, a subscribe on the YouTube. And also make sure you're giving Gonzo Sports Room, GSR, subscribe on their YouTube as well. That really does pay a lot for us, and we appreciate you guys. That's it.
Yep. Appreciate everybody watching. You guys have a good night. Ain't a whole lot of sports on tonight. Have to watch Monday Night Raw. Netflix.
Here we go.
Oh my goodness.